Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode in Adventures of Comprehension. My name is Ciera Harris. I am the author over at Ciera Harris Teaching, and I have a huge passion for everything reading comprehension. So what's our topic tonight? Well, you can see it down below. We've got 3 changes that you need to make right now in your instruction that are going to have a huge impact on your students. Change number 1. Be critical of your resources. So the resources, whether they're coming from the district, they're coming from your principal, they're coming from your curriculum, or they're coming outside or elsewhere, online in forums. Maybe you created them. Maybe you bought them off of Teachers Pay Teachers, right? Our resources can come from a lot of different places. But it's really important that we be very critical of what we're putting in front of our students. There's so many resources in the online world today. So many more than just even 5 years ago, right? There's something new being put out there all the time. Amazon even has its own educational platform that sells educational resources. What? I mean, we have way too many options. So here's what we need to make sure. It doesn't mean that everything that's out there, that they're all amazing resources that are going to get you and your students results. It's not going to happen with every little thing that's out there. So we need to make sure that we are being very critical of the resources that we choose and to put in front of our students to make sure that they're exactly what our students need. Okay? And I'm saying this too about my own resources. My own resources that I create and put out there, they may not be what your students need. They may not be the best for you. They may not match your teaching style. Do I want you to purchase things from me if they are not the right fit for you and your students? Absolutely not, right? It may not be the right choice. So here are some things that I think you could reflect on when you're being critical about your resources and the things that you pick and choose to put in front of your students. Number 1 is you get what you pay for. Now, I know teachers should not be paying for more things in their classroom, right? We pay for it enough. We should not be paying for resources or lesson plans or activities on top of the supplies and everything else that we put into our classrooms. I get it. But I will say this, you do get what you pay for. So if you're going online and you're finding some free resource, think about it. It's free. It's free. Is it going to be amazing, mind-blowing, and get you results? Probably not. It's free for a reason. So just be wary about those free things that you're finding consistently online. Are they really going to make the impact you want them to make? If you're constantly putting free things in front of them, there's not going to be a lot of rigor there. There's not going to be a lot of structure, not enough oomph behind those resources because they're free. They're free for a reason. So ditch the free things and let's see what else we can do. Okay? Another thing too, when you're thinking about your resources that you want to put in front of your students, use data to ensure that your resources that you're putting in front of your students will actually help push them along. Does it fit the current needs of your students? And if it doesn't, don't buy it. Don't use it, right? It's got to make sure it's a perfect fit for your students. And your students change year after year. Therefore, the resources that you use should somewhat change each year as well. Another thing to think about when you're analyzing your resources, is it rigorous enough? I see so much fluff out there in the resource world that I'm just like, oh, seriously, what is the point of doing that activity? You are going to waste an hour and they're going to get 5 minutes of practice. And you wasted an hour because it's cute and fluffy. Now, does that mean I'm against crafts and cutting and gluing and coloring? Absolutely not. But there's a way to make sure that your students have both. So really look and see, are your resources rigorous enough? Does the resource that you're looking at, does it make your students think critically? Can it help your students collaborate with one another? That's another angle to think about. Does it support the standards that you teach? So again, lots of great reflecting when we're thinking about our resources. The final piece for this one is the resource made by somebody you trust? So there's big names out there in education right now, right? We know Lucy Calkins' name. We know Jennifer Savalio. So think about the names that you know and trust. And those are going to be the people that you are going to want to find resources from, right? Because you know they know their stuff, right? If you're finding things online and you're like, I don't know who this person is, and then you go and use their resource, are you sure it's going to work? Yeah, but it's pretty. Well, are you sure it's going to work? So it's, again, finding the people who you know, like, and trust. You know what they stand for. You know that they know the material. You know that they are an expert in their field. Then those are the people who are your go-tos for your resources. And again, that may be me, it may not, and it's perfectly fine. So there's a lot to think about, but this is one change that you can make right now. Is every time you look at what you are planning, be very critical of your resources. Is this really what you want to do, or could there be something better out there that's going to get more for your time? Hey everyone, so sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure that you are loving the content coming from Ciera Harris Teaching on YouTube. So make sure, if you are loving this, to subscribe and also like and comment below. I would love to hear from you. All right, change number 2 is to use more rigor. Yes, I said the R word. I don't understand why teachers are afraid and hate the R word. I am a fan of that R word. Do you know why? Because it makes a big difference. It pushes students to where they need to be. I'm tired of the teachers and people tiptoeing around thinking that, oh, students are struggling and I got to give them everything that they need and I got to bend so far down that we get lost in where we really are supposed to be. We can fill holes by pushing our students with rigor just as much as we can by bending over to their every need and whim. Right? Push them. Use rigor in your classroom. Okay, so does this mean that we shouldn't give personalized or individual support for students? No. There is a time and a place to make sure that every student gets exactly what they need. But that does not mean that my classroom turns into a 50-ring circus because I have, 30 kids, each with individual needs, and I'm trying very hard to make sure that every kid gets what they need. They're in 3rd grade. They're going to get 3rd grade standards. And yes, we're going to fill holes along the way, but our focus is 3rd grade. And I'm going to keep our focus rigorous. And I'm going to keep what we are doing very much critical, heavy thinking, deep, complex text. And we're going to make sure that we are getting our time. We're getting what we need out of the time that we have. So you need to make sure that you're analyzing your resources, not only for the things that we just talked about, but use more rigor in your class. When we push our students with rigorous instruction and then support those who need the support in the rigorous instruction, we are actually exposing all of our students to grade level instruction and expectations. Think about that. And then we're allowing all those students time to think critically and time to work on current and past standards at the same time. So there's a lot of ways to get to the end result, but I want to make sure that all of my students are being pushed and are being taught to be critical thinkers and analyze and evaluate. And I can't do that if I'm constantly bending over and making sure that every single student gets every little bitty thing that they need. Are they going to get that? Yes. But they're going to get it through very rigorous and focused instruction. So think about your rigor. Can you up it? This will make a major change in your classroom. All right. Number 3, the third change that you can make right now to have a huge impact on your students is to use the gradual release model. This is the I do, we do, you do. And no, it is not dead. I know you could probably go online and Google it and find a few articles out there that say this is the way of the past and this is the teaching of the past. But I promise you, especially for reading, it's not. Okay? I promise you it's not. So if you agree that reading is thinking, if you agree with that statement right there, reading is thinking, but you're not spending optimal time modeling for your students, then we aren't everything that we teach. We're not practicing what we preach, and we're not showing them what reading truly is. The gradual release model, remember the I do, the we do, the you do, this Model allows teachers time for their students to model their thinking. And remember, reading is such a closed off process. It all happens within our brains. So when we're trying to show our students what their brains need to be doing, then what does that mean? We need to be modeling that for them. And what better way to do it than through the gradual release model? So in that part of the lesson, the students get to take a peek inside our brain. They get to listen to our thinking. They get to see our processes that happen. They get to see our metacognitive skills in action. So that's modeling. When we actually think out loud like a student and we're showing them that thinking, that's modeling. That is what the I do part is all about. Then when the students are ready to move on, then we proceed to the we do. The we do is simply, now we're going to try it together. I'm going to support you. We're going to try this together now. I'm going to lead you through more thinking. You're going to do the thinking with me now, but it's together practice. And then the you do is the independent. Now you've seen me model my thinking. We've tried the thinking together. Now I want you to try this type of thinking on your own. So that gradual release model is proven to work. And it is because you're breaking down reading into a step-by-step process. You're modeling those steps for them and then giving them a chance to do it with you and then to do it on their own and then providing them feedback and repeating that process the next day. So this format works. I promise, promise, promise. And if you are not using it, I highly recommend doing it. I do have a blog post that's all about modeling tips. So if you're someone who's like, I'm just not sure if I'm modeling correctly for my students, or if I should, I want to put more emphasis on that model, then let me know and I'm happy to send you that link. Just comment below and say, hey, I would like the modeling blog post, and I would be happy to send that to you. But I promise you, these 3 changes right now can have a drastic impact on what you're doing in your classroom, whether you're virtual, hybrid, or face-to-face. So again, they are be critical of your resources, use more rigor, and use the gradual release model. I would love to know below before you go which one that you feel like you could do more of. Which one do you want to focus on to try to get more impact from your students? Let me know in the comments. I'm happy to continue the chat there. Hopefully you've got something out of today. Hopefully you got some great reminders and some good nudges to do what you need to do, what's best for your students, okay? If you have any questions or comments, I'll be in the comments below. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.